Welcome back, vinyl community. Coming at ya, reggae spotlight styley. Today looking at Wesley Tinglin and the Viceroys. Praise for I. Hail him high. Tune called Babylon Depon Fire, produced by Lee Scratch Perry, appeared in the mid-70s on the Black Wax label. This is a reissue credited to Truth, Fact, and Correct. It's actually Wesley Tinglin and the Viceroys. The Viceroys' story begins with the birth of Wesley Tinglin near Montego Bay, moved to Kingston, Jamaica as a youngster, took part in the informal music classes held by Joe Higgs, the legendary Joe Higgs, at his Trenchtown yard, where he would teach many others the fundamentals of music, like Jimmy Cliff, members of the Wailers, and many others. Tinglin taught himself to play guitar, soon formed the original Viceroys with Linval Williams, better known as Otis Bunny Gale, and Daniel Bernard. After an initial audition at Duke Reid's Treasure Isle studio, where they recorded a couple tunes that were apparently never released, they moved on to Cox & Dodd's Studio One label, where they recorded some of their initial sides that they're most identified with. Probably their signature song recorded for Studio One was called Yahoo, inspired by tales of pirates on the Caribbean from a book Tinglin had read. He wrote it. Seems something of a novelty song to us here, but in the Caribbean, pirates and the tales of their plunder and ravages were very much a local history. So here is Yahoo by the Viceroys, redone many times. Bunny Gale did his own version for producer Keith Hudson, and other groups like the Gladiators and the Jays also did their cover versions. The Viceroys themselves revisited it a number of times, but here is Yahoo. Men on a dead man's chest. Also at Studio One, they recorded one of their other signature songs, Slogan on the Wall, inspired by political graffiti on the walls in Kingston. You can tell it's from a later date. Some of them come to trick Natty Dread this day. Kingston, of course, gripped by recurrent political violence at this time in the 1970s. The song was inspired by the tenuous political and social situation of the times. Violence played a part in the breakup of the original Viceroys by the early 70s, with Bunny Gale being shot at. Apparently had to leave the scene for a while for his personal safety. And Daniel Bernard also apparently witnessed a man shot in his own yard, and apparently left for the country, was never quite the same again. The Wesley Tinglin later reformed a new lineup of the Viceroys, anchored by Neville Ingram on lead vocals. The two of them were in trade school together, working as jewelers. Wesley Tinglin worked as a jeweler for many years, and the new lineup of the Viceroys would later be augmented by Norris Reed, who was also associated with Augustus Pablo. But their debut album would not come until the mid-70s for producer Phil Pratt, sorry. I've showed this very recently, actually, so I thought I would go into a bit more depth, as Wesley Tinglin has just passed away. News came September 18th, complications from cancer. So I thought I would take this opportunity to do a bit of a closer look at Wesley Tinglin and the Viceroys. Debut album, Consider Yourself, credited another name change, credited now to the Interns, following on from that Truth, Fact, and Correct single. The group was kind of fishing around for a different name, different identity, trying to find something that would work. Producer Phil Pratt, released on the Chan & Ja label originally. This is a Pressure Sounds reissue. Always upside down when I show them. Chan & Ja, Pressure Sounds reissue from 2014. New versions of Yahoo. Also, Nothing is Impossible, aka My Mission is Possible, another one of their signature songs. Also done for producer Winston Riley. This would also appear as Detour the following year. Same album, still credited to the Interns, but it is the Viceroys, Wesley Tinglin, on the Burning Rockers label in the UK. Classic Roots album. For the next few years, some of the Viceroys' biggest hits would come on various singles. I'm a bit at loose ends trying to do these kind of spotlights. Well, I have much of this music around. I don't always necessarily have a whole lot on vinyl. A lot of, particularly with a group like the Viceroys, a lot of their best work is on singles compilations. But one of their big hits came in 1980 for Sly and Robbie's Taxi label with a tune called Heart Made of Stone, now returning to the Viceroys name, which they would carry on with for the future. Following in the 1980s, early to mid-1980s, they linked up with producer Linval Thompson, recorded the albums We Must Unite and Brethren and Sistren. I have at least one of those on CD, don't have either of them on vinyl. Much of this stuff, the Viceroys albums, goes for a respectable amount of money. Hopefully one day I'll own them. They also returned to producer Winston Riley for the Chancery Lane album, mid-80s. Following this, the group split up. Beginning around the year 2000, they would do some various reunions with the new lineup. Again, anchored by Wesley Tinglin and longtime partner Neville Ingram. In 2016, they returned with this album. I've shown this in an earlier video too, Memories. I believe this will now be their final LP with Wesley Tinglin as the leader. This was produced by the Spanish producer Roberto Sanchez for his Lone Arc production house. Him creating the rhythms in Europe and then them voicing the songs in Jamaica. Very nice set. Vocals followed by dubs. Again, another update of Yahoo. Always coming back to that signature song. Wesley Tinglin struggled for many years to get compensation from his music. Would insist he'd never received any compensation for many of the work he did, but did it for the love of the music. Much of their Studio One hits are collected on this nice collection on the Heartbeat label, the Viceroys at Studio One. Yahoo. That's what I was playing from. On the classic Heartbeat label out of the US. Their other signature song My Mission is Impossible, aka Nothing is Impossible, still credited to the Interns for Winston Riley. Where is it? Nothing is Impossible, the Interns, appears on the Roots Technique compilation on Pressure Sounds, as well as many others. Wesley Tinglin passed away, apparently September 18th. News is just kind of starting to spread in the reggae world. So we've lost another classic artist from the 1960s and 1970s. But the music lives on. So that's been my spotlight today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers. Peace.